Hey guys, welcome back into the record room. I am of course your host Tony Joels TG, and today is a special episode for a couple of reasons, but primarily because today happens to be my daughter's 6th birthday. And one of the things she's always asking me is, Daddy, when are you going to record an episode on David Bowie? Because David Bowie is her favorite artist. Now, I do own quite a few David Bowie records, but talking about records that, it's not that I would never record a Bowie episode, but I wanted to record a Bowie episode when something new dropped. And it just so happens that we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Young Americans album. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to record a video talking about one of my personal favorite David Bowie albums, its 50th anniversary, and also as a happy birthday present to my wonderful daughter. So before we get things going, I just want to say happy birthday, sweetheart. Daddy loves you very, very much. I'm so proud of you, so proud of the person you're becoming. And I must say, you have impeccable taste in music. Now, David Bowie's Young Americans, his overall 9th studio album, and following on from Diamond Dogs. Diamond Dogs was going to be the end of his glam era. And with Young Americans, David started experimenting more with blue-eyed soul. I believe he called it plastic soul, but there is way more soul than was on any of his previous albums on Young Americans. And this album actually gave David his first #1 in the US with the single Fame, obviously co-written by David, John Lennon, and Carlos, what's his name? Almovar? I believe it was the guitar player, legendary guitar player. Now, for the 50th anniversary, they have just released this half-speed master, and I'll give you a little bit of a description. Well, I'll read the description on the front here so you know what it is. So this record was cut on a fully customized late Neumann VMS 80 lathe with fully recapped electronics from 192 kilohertz restored masters of the original record plant master tapes with no additional processing on transfer. So this is mastered from a digital file, not the original master tapes. However, I have to say it sounds pretty good. You know, I don't have a copy of Young Americans to hand. I'm in the process of moving a lot of my records into storage for a later thing, but I don't have a copy of Young Americans to hand. I do have the Changes David Bowie Greatest Hits, and I listened to the track Young Americans on that, and then I listened to the Young Americans cut on this. I also listened to Fame as well, so I could compare them back to back. And this is clearly a better sounding record. Now, on the whole, I would say this is a good sounding record. The bass is quite booming, which is quite nice. David's vocals are present in the mix. I could have done with them a little bit higher. However, instrumentation wise, it sounds pretty good. The guitars kind of sound a little bit fuzzy in places. I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be. I don't ever remember the guitars being super like crunchy or super fuzzy on the original pressing, or I think my pressing's probably from the mid 80s. So it would have come from, you know, kind of a master tape. There was no digital at that point. So I don't know, but as someone that may be getting into David Bowie as a younger fan that's looking to buy a copy of Young Americans, would I recommend this? Absolutely. It is a great sounding record, and it's a great record as well. I think a lot of people overlook Young Americans as David's first stab at soul, and wasn't quite there, you know, Station to Station, the album after this, he definitely picked up on that. But this album is fantastic. It really is. And famously as well, this is the album that features Luther Vandross. He sang backing vocals on Young Americans, as well as doing some co-writes on this. The track Fascination, the music was actually written by Luther Vandross. And I believe he did the vocal arranging on this as well. So all in all, I mean, I think this is a pretty good album. I really, really do. The package itself is fairly bare bones, but it doesn't really need to be all singing or dancing. The album comes in a black polyline sleeve, and I have to say now, this thing is freaking weighty. This feels way heavier than a 180. If it is 180, I would be shocked, because it does feel heavier. It's not quite 200 gram, but it's, you know, it's up there. It's a weighty slab. And I do love on all the Bowie reissues that you're getting the Bowie name in the old RCA logo. I'm a fan of that. And now on the jacket itself, apart from the Obi, credits are on the back, as they were on the original. You've got all of the musicians, where the album was recorded, running times of the album. And it also does come with an insert with some lyrics. No credits, but it does have lyrics on there as well. Let me see here. Alomar, that was the name. Carlos Alomar. Apologies for getting that wrong. Yeah, so this is nice. This album also includes the Across the Universe cover. And obviously, if you want to count it, Young Americans does have a refrain from Day in the Life as well. So there is that. All in all, I think this is a great David Bowie album. It's not for everybody. I do understand that. There are a lot of people that prefer the rockier stuff, the glam stuff, but I think he's got such an amazing voice that I really do appreciate this album. And I mean, the two songs alone, Young Americans and Fame, they're two classic tracks. You look at a David Bowie greatest hits, they're going to be on there. And there are some albums that David released that have no classic tracks on them. So all in all, I would highly recommend this. It does sound good. It really does. Price-wise, I want to say this was around 30-ish pound. I know there's a picture disc of this as well, which I think is closer to like 45, 50, which is just insane. They are releasing the David Bowie reissues that do come out on picture discs as well. They look cool, but man, for the money, they just not for me. Not for me. Records are for listening, not just for looking at. So I'd recommend grabbing this black vinyl version, Half Speed Master. I really like this. I would recommend this. Do you have this? Are you a Bowie fan? What do you think of the remaster? Do you think it's worth picking up, or would you say hunt out an original copy? Please let me and everybody else know in the comments down below. And if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really, really does mean a lot. But until we meet again, stay gold and spin those blackest circles.